Welcome to SpotOn Basics. I'm Rebecca Monet with Zorakle Profiles. The Zorakle tools predict compatibility and performance of prospective franchisees. Our tools are based on 7 statistically validated sciences, one of which I wanted to chat with you about today: the skills and the competencies of a prospective franchisee. So the SpotOn Profile, the core competency section, is similar to the logic behind the Strengths Finder. The idea here is, if we understand the strengths of an individual, we can then correlate those strengths to various core competencies. This is a much better way to assess someone than an aptitude test. Most of your prospective franchisees will come to you with various backgrounds and successes. So you know that they're great professional athletes and teachers and IT professionals. But we need to know what their strengths are to see if they can do all components of the business. Can they sell? Can they market? Will they be able to hire and train individuals? Will they be able to manage projects and people? Will they be able to handle the customer service and or the operational sides of the business? So keeping that in mind, when you think of the SpotOn Profile or the SpotOn Eclipse, we're always looking at 2 things. We're looking at, does this prospective franchisee fit within a franchise system? There are 4 sciences and separate training on each of these areas that will help you know, is this a prospective franchisee that's going to be a good fit? Do they share the values of a franchise organization, the culture and the stage of growth of an organization? What is their work style like? Is it similar to the high performers within that franchise system? And then just because someone is compatible does not mean they have what it takes to grow a successful business. So we also want to know what skills, strengths, and competencies they possess. Now, we measure the 8 hard competencies, and we also measure 3 softer competencies: the focus preference, emotional intelligence, and social intelligence. We'll cover those in separate videos, but today I wanted to talk about the 8 core competencies. Keep in mind that compatibility plus competencies equal performance. Compatibility without the skills and the talents and the competencies will simply create a kumbaya baby, a franchisee that will embrace the systems and love what you're up to and will show up at all of your conferences. They're going to be a great cultural fit, but that doesn't mean they're going to perform. And of course, we want our franchisees to perform. Now, conversely, if they only possess the competencies and they're not a good fit, then what you can have is someone who ends up being a lone wolf. They have all the skills themselves. They don't need you as a franchisor. So they go off and do things on their own. They don't respect what you've spent time, money, and energy on. Or you're going to have a renegade. So not only are they off doing their own thing, but they're doing so and harming the brand by speaking in negative terms or in other ways, causing havoc within the franchise system. And then, of course, you're going to have folks that have such great competencies that they can grow this business to heights that we could only imagine, but they in some way think they're special, especially if they haven't followed your systems. They become prima donnas, and these prima donnas in some way believe they deserve special treatment. So the goal always of a franchisee-franchisor relationship is intradependency. We don't want the franchisee to be able to do everything on their own, nor do we want them to be 100% dependent on us as franchisors. We want the relationship to be interdependent, where we respect and appreciate the relationship between one another. In other words, it needs to be complementary. The skills of a franchisee need to complement the strategic plans of a franchisor, need to complement what the franchisor is bringing to the table. If the franchisor has great POS systems and technology and products, they're likely looking for someone that has strong sales and marketing skills, as an example. So we want to create an equitable relationship where there's a give and take, where we know as franchisors, this is what the franchisee is bringing to the table, and vice versa. A franchisee looks at the franchisor and says, I couldn't do this without you. This system is what's allowed me to be successful. So it's an equitable relationship. So when you're thinking about competencies, also remember that they are trainable. So if the franchisor has great training, a franchisee could come in with certain skills that are lower than you might like, but the franchisor can teach that franchisee how to be better in those particular areas. Additionally, certain skills can be hired, right? It's not required that the franchisee do all parts of the business. Ideally, he has gifting in all areas, but it doesn't have to be perfect in all areas. He can hire a great operational person, a great bookkeeper, maybe even a great marketeer. So the idea here is we want to use highest and best use of a franchisee's talents and skills and competencies. So keep in mind also that as a franchise system evolves, the need for certain competencies will evolve. So as a franchisee is brand new, that first maybe 18, 24, 36 months, the emphasis may be more on sales and marketing. As he or she grows, the emphasis now might be more on inventory control and budgeting and keeping the lease at a place that makes sense, or hiring the right people and managing people, or customer service. So competencies will evolve as a system evolves and as a franchisee grows. Always consider highest and best use of a strength or skill. So just because someone is a great baker, he makes beautiful cakes, does not mean that his highest and best use of his talent in running that bakery. Better use of his talent might be the operational side of the business, or training or managing people, or being out amongst the world and building relationships and doing some channel planning and some marketing. So always consider highest and best use of a strength or a skill. The tool is designed to let you know what highest and best use of a skill is. So in essence, what you're looking at when you're looking at a prospective franchisee is to clearly define the role that the franchisee has within a particular business, and what are the competencies required to fulfill that role. So you're going to define what that is for a franchisee, and you're going to define what that is for a franchisor. And then, of course, we want there to be a strong reliance on one another, interdependency, and complementary skills and complementary roles. This will help us avoid redundancy and effort. We do not want a franchisee doing what a franchisor is doing, and vice versa. We don't want the franchisor stepping in and doing pieces of the business that the franchisee should be doing themselves. So this will reduce our cost, create greater effectiveness and efficiencies, and most importantly, both the franchisor and the franchisee get better at their defined roles and get better at the competencies and skills necessary to play those individual roles. So The 8 hard competencies are further described in the Zorka Profiles client guide. I'm not going to go into detail about that in this particular training. You know what sales and channel planning is. You know what finance and ops is. You know what leadership is and customer service. But if you're interested in digging more deeply, check out the client guide, particularly pages 40 and 41. Instead, I thought we would spend our time looking at some test results and discussing the strengths and the weaknesses and how you might look at this prospective franchisee and the kind of businesses that he or she might be a good fit with. So in this case, this candidate has crazy great sales and channel planning skills, almost a perfect score, marketing and public relations skills, leadership skills, and HR and training skills. So remember, we're looking for complementary. So she is scoring weak in customer service and admin. This is not highest and best use of her skills. Better use of her skill is to lead the organization, to sell and to market and to teach others how to do the same. We don't want her caught up in the bookkeeping, in the administrative, and in the customer service, or in the managing of schedules and the managing of projects. Not highest and best use of her talent. Let's look at another example. So in this case, we have a candidate who scores really high in admin and customer service, strong again in HR and training, management, marketing, and then to just a little bit lesser degree, the technical skills. So in this case, we have a candidate that we probably don't want to be out there selling, right? Nor do we want him as a leader. We want him focused on the human resource side of the business, on the customer service side of the business, and the administrative side of the business. That is highest and best use of his skills and his talents and his strengths. Another example. So in this case, we have someone with very high technical skills, high finance and operational skills, and high sales and leadership skills. So notice that this candidate scored like a Daniel Ek, who is the CEO of Spotify. Now, the idea of music is not a new one. Daniel Ek and his team simply created Spotify, which is a better system for managing music and allowing people to select the kind of music that they want to listen to. So this is his technical skills being used in a profound way, his operational skills being used in a profound way. And what he was also particularly good at was to find channels for sales that others in the music business had not found before by simply selling music at bookstores or music stores. Daniel Ek said, wait a second, there's another channel for distributing music. He calls it Spotify. So this candidate scores similar to that. Now, the purpose of always sharing a celebrity is to build confidence within the prospective franchisee. But more importantly, it's about you seeing where the strengths and weaknesses are and finding a business that will exploit the strengths and have that client not spending time and energy in areas that's not highest and best use of time and talent. One more example. So in this case, we're looking at Fred Smith. He's CEO of FedEx, strong leadership skills, strong sales skills, strong management skills, and phenomenal finance and operational skills. So this, again, we're looking at a candidate where he has some weak areas. He's not a marketer. He's not good with hiring and training and mentoring people. and he's not interested in handling the customer service and admin. So we're likely going to be looking for a business for this prospective franchisee where the admin and customer service component is offloaded to the franchisor. The franchisor handles that. Or it's a product or service that doesn't have a whole lot of admin or customer service responsibilities. Instead, we want this candidate to focus on the operational side of the business, the management of a business, and of course, leading that business and selling. So the other area that you want to pay attention to is what we call the wealth motto. So in this case, the wealth motto is controlling cash generating asset. This particular candidate is great at recognizing an asset when it is undervalued and knows if he can control it, he can grow it. So that could be inventory, that could be real estate, that could be an area or regional developer that sees potential of controlling a particular asset and turning it into something much greater. So you can see that's a direct application of someone's management skills, the visionary and leadership skills, and the operational skills. And at some point, the sales skills will kick in that says, I am controlling this cash generating asset, and at some point I'm going to sell it at a higher value. So let's look at something that sometimes might feel a little contradictory, and let me share with you how you need to look at this. So on the summary page of the SpotOn profile, it will always tell you, prospect won't see this, only you will see this, what the sales potential is of that prospective franchisee. This candidate has an above average sales potential. That's great, right? But if we look over to the right, we see his sales skills are a 3, or highest and best use of his skills are 3 in sales. Much better use of his time and his skills are in managing a business, doing the admin and customer service side of the business, and the HR and training side of the business, and in the marketing side of the business. Bottom line, his wealth model, the way he's going to build wealth, is by pulling people together and using their time and their talent. So he is a recognizer of human talent and the resource of those people, and he knows how to leverage those the talent of others. He is not someone that should be selling. He could be hiring great salespeople, and he can manage them, and he can train them, and he can do the back end of all that those salespeople are selling. But his true gift is in the bringing people together and then leveraging their individual talents. So can he sell? Absolutely. Are we recommending he sell? No, we are not. If he is put in a situation where he has to sell, he will be an above average sales person, but he will become bored and discontent in short order. And we don't want that in a franchisee. We want them to be thrilled with the business and not have buyer's remorse. So let's look side by side. Over to the left, the SpotOn profile, the competency section. This is Ryan. And to the right, it's Ryan again, but this is the SpotOn Eclipse report. So we can see on the right in the Eclipse report, Ryan's hard scores, which we see on the SpotOn profile, he is now being compared to the high performers within a franchise system. So we notice a couple of things. We notice that his leadership skills and his sales and channel planning skills are much higher than this particular franchisor requires a franchisee to be. So he scores a 146 in leadership when we need a 113 to 120. He scores a 149 in sales and channel planning. We need a 109 to 121. Now, a high score can oftentimes be just as bad as a low score. Let me give you an example. So in this particular situation, we need the franchisee to embrace the channels that we as a franchise system have recommended. So Ryan is naturally thinking outside the box. He's thinking, well, what if we sell over here? Or what if we do this? So he's a natural channel planner. He sees opportunities for his product and service. But this particular franchisor has a very precise model where the channel is pre-described, and it's where they are getting the greatest momentum, and it's going to protect the brand equity by staying within those particular channels. So this is a negative. On the other hand, we see low admin and customer service skills. In this case, we know this is trainable, right? We know, not possessing this, that we can learn this, or we can hire someone to do just that. So bottom line, Zorakle is all about franchisee, franchisor fit. A right fit franchisee is going to be much more compatible. They're going to validate better. They're going to retain longer. They're going to cost the franchisor less to train and support. And the franchisee is going to be much happier. And of course, most importantly, especially to us at Zorakle, is that franchisee is going to ramp up faster. He's going to comply better, and he is going to perform. So there are tons of trainings on our YouTube channel. Subscribe. We'll send you new ones all the time. If you have further questions about the Zorakle tools, please reach out to us. We're here to help you do right fit deals and to do more of it.